Hey guys, happy Tuesday. We are here for yoga. Um, Typically, we do power flow. I did this thing. I'm Aubrey, by the way. If I haven't met you in person, welcome. I did this thing a couple weeks ago where we split the flow in half. So we did the first half power flow and the second half more of a stretch focus. So more poses low to the ground, a little bit more time to deepen stretches. And I feel like doing that again tonight. So that doesn't mean that the class is going to be easy necessarily. That's really up to you and your perception, I guess. But the first half of class will make sure to build a lot of heat, so we'll move flowing breath to movement. And then for the second half of class, we'll take it down a little bit slower, a little bit more, like I said, more time in poses so you can really get into the depth of your muscles. So very important that we warm up first. So let's get started in child's pose. I'm going to get my timer real quick. So meet in child's pose. Take some deep breaths. And we'll bring some activity to your child's pose. So we'll flow this with breath. First, exhale out. Inhale, press up to tabletop. You don't have to adjust your feet just yet. We're going to flow with breath. On your exhale, press back, child's pose. Another round. Inhale to table. Exhale, child's pose. So focus on your abs here. Keep them engaged. One more time. Inhale, table. Exhale, child's pose. Take one more breath here. Curl your toes under and push up, downward facing dog. So you can choose here if you want to stay still for your first down dog or if you want to pedal your feet, whichever one helps you warm up. For me, honestly, staying still creates more heat than movement does sometimes. So you pick what you need to do to get warmed up. And if you haven't already, start ramping up your Ujjayi breath. So deep inhales and exhales through your nose. Walk your feet to the top of your mat. Take a ragdoll pose. Let your head shake out. Let your upper body get really heavy. And while your head is hanging here, look down at your feet and see if they are active or not. So start to engage all four corners of your feet into the mat. Stretch your toes up and away. And you can feel the difference here. If you let your toes go limp, your legs don't have as much strength in them. So give some action to your feet. Feel your legs light up. Come to stillness. Drop your hands down, breathe out. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Two more. Inhale, halfway lift. Press your chest forward. Exhale, fold forward. Keep your feet engaged. One more time. Halfway lift. Shoulder blades together. Forward fold. Drop your chest, drop your head. Extended mountain pose. Reach all the way up. Press your hands together. Draw them to heart center. And we will officially begin this practice together with one chant of Om. First, breathe out. Take a breath in. Om. Okay, let's get into the flow. Take your arms up high, extended mountain pose. Bring them down towards the floor, forward fold. Breathe in, lift halfway up, squeeze your shoulders close. Step back, high plank. So in this flow, we'll keep adding on so you can keep flowing one breath per movement. So right here, take an inhale. Push yourself back, downward facing dog. Let's keep flowing. Come up to your tippy toes. Bend your knees, exhale, step or walk or jump to the top of your mat, halfway lift. Exhale, bow down. Extended mountain pose, sweep your arms up. Bow forward, exhale. Lift halfway, shoulders together, abs engaged. Plank pose. Breathe out as you step back. Inhale, shift forward. Now downward facing dog. Exhale. Don't worry, we will get the push up. Let's keep going. Come up to your toes. Take your knees low, spring or step to the top, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Extended mountain pose. Fold over as you breathe out. So remember, we're just warming up right now. Halfway lift, feel your breath flow in. High plank, step back. Inhale, shift over. On your exhale, now we go chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Now you press back, downward facing dog. All together, one breath per move. Come up, heels high. Bend your knees, make your way to the top. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Extended mountain pose, breathe in. Forward fold, exhale, check out your feet. Are they active? If not, make them so. Halfway up. High plank, breathe out. Inhale, lean forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's keep going. Lift your heels. Bend your knees. Walk, jump, float, halfway up. Fold over, exhale. Extended mountain pose. Fold back down. Halfway up, take a deep breath. Inhale, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right foot forward, warrior one. We'll stay for a few breaths just so you can get the pose nice and steady. So adjust your feet however you need to. The idea is to turn your hips square-ish, and feel that stretch through your back leg. Breathe in, reach a little higher. Breathe out, hands down. Step back into plank. Shift over, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Lift your heels. Bend your knees, travel to the top. Halfway, take a breath. Forward fold, let it go. Extended mountain. Forward fold, exhale. Halfway lift, pull your abs in, step it back, plank pose. Breathe in, come through. Chaturanga, breathe it out. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Left foot forward, warrior one. So another brief moment for you to get situated. If you're not feeling that stretch, keep scooting your back foot further back. Make your adjustments, and we'll take another breath together. On your breath out, hands come down, plank. Inhale, move forward. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Let's keep adding on. Come up to your tippy toes. Bend your knees. Walk or jump forward. Halfway lift. Bow down, exhale. Chair pose, breathe in. Stay here, breathe out. So notice, we've done this a couple classes now. If your fingertips don't touch the floor, when you drop them down, make that happen. So bend your knees until your fingertips touch. Keep your chair just that low and reach your arms back up. Here we go. One more breath here. On your breath out, fold forward. Halfway lift. And you flow. Plank pose. One step at a time. Inhale forward. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing. Exhale, downward facing dog. Right foot, warrior one. Inhale, rise up. And now we add open warrior two. Reverse your warrior two. Take your front palm, reach it up and over. Take a big flow down. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. And switch sides. Left foot to the top. Warrior one. Breathe in. Open up. Warrior two. Reach your left hand up and over your left ear. Reverse warrior. Cartwheel to the mat. Chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Reset. Just for a couple breaths. Catch your breath. Stretch your fingers out. If you ever need a bigger resting pose, you can always do child's pose. You can also open your mouth to clear some air out. And now we'll keep flowing. Got to keep the heat. Lift your heels. Take your knees down. Hop or walk forward. Halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Come down, chaturanga. Upward facing dog, deep breath. Upward facing dog, all the way back. Right foot forward. Warrior one, inhale up. Warrior two to the side. Reverse your warrior two, so reach up and over. Adding on again, extended side angle. So now you move opposite direction. Your left arm reaches up and over. For bonus, you can take both arms forward. We'll stay here a few breaths to really get into it. So while you're here, continue rotating your chest up towards the ceiling. Keep your front knee nice and low. One more breath. And in we go, chaturanga. Breathe in, upward dog. Breathe out, downward dog. Second side, left foot to the top. Warrior one. Arms apart, hips open, warrior two. Reverse warrior two as you inhale. Extended side angle as you exhale. Right arm up and over. So especially if you're feeling a lot through your front leg, anchor into your back leg more. So you don't have to straighten your front leg to do that. Just put a little more weight back there, a little more intention. Again, option for both arms. We'll stay for a couple more breaths. Continue that rotation, chest up. On your next breath out, come down, chaturanga. Press through, upward facing. All the way back, downward facing dog. Reset. So this is square one. We're going to keep adding to that flow. Again, this is the first half, so hopefully getting nice and warm right about now. Exhale everything out. Inhale, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees. Walk or jump to the top. Lift halfway, breathe in. Forward fold, breathe out. Chair pose, inhale. Hands to your heart, exhale. Take a deep breath, shift your chest forward. On your exhale, rotate over to the right side. Come back to chair center, arms up. Forward fold, exhale out. You can grab your big toes. We'll stay here for a second. You can also take a halfway lift here. So bend your knees as much as you need to. Stretch your chest forward as you breathe in. And when you exhale, drop your head, sandwich your legs and your ribs together. So keep the bend if you need it. That's totally fine. We'll stay for one more exhale. Release your toes, feet wherever they feel best for your chair pose. Round two, hands to your heart. Take an inhale. Exhale and twist left side. So we won't stay for too long. Come back, chair in the middle, reach up, fold over, gorilla pose. Take your palms underneath your feet. Same thing if you want to, you can lengthen on your inhale and then drop your chest on your exhale. Move your feet around, give your hands some relief here. Exhale out. Inhale, hands come out. And we'll use this chair part as the base of our next little flow here. So come back to chair, arms up. Palms to touch in front of your heart. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the right. Come back to center, chair pose. Palms together, exhale. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist to the left. Come back through, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Lift halfway, breathe deep. And come down, chaturanga. Breathe in, upward facing. Breathe out, downward facing. Bend your knees, make your way to the top of your mat. Lift halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, palms to touch. Inhale, stretch your chest forward. On your breath out, twist to the right. This time we are adding, pick up your left foot. Take it back behind you, twisting crescent lunge. You have the option to keep your palms pressing together, or if it feels better for you, you can open your arms. So your bottom hand can go on the inside or the outside of your front foot, whatever feels good. From here, swing your arms up, regular crescent lunge. Reach your chest towards the ceiling. Now reach your arms forward so you're making a straight line from your back heel through your fingers. Press forward, step down, forward fold. Breathe in here. Breathe out, let your head drop. And then we come back to chair pose. Reach your arms up, tail down low, hands together in front of you. Take a breath. Rotate left side. Take your right foot back towards the back edge of your mat, twisting crescent lunge. Again, you have options with your arms, so palms can push or arms can go apart. Whatever you're doing, make sure your chest isn't really stuck to your thighs. You're trying to get length and lift to create that twist. All right, root down through your back foot especially. Come to crescent lunge, arms up. Now charging crescent, reach your hands up and over. Take a big step forward, forward fold. Halfway lift, vinyasa chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right foot forward, triangle pose. So this is one where I really like to use the prop. If you don't have a prop, your shin can be your prop. You can use it with bottom hand pressing against it. Breathe out. Breathe in, reverse triangle. So just like reverse warrior 2, but now your front leg is straight. We are coming back, triangle pose. 2 more times with breath. Inhale, reverse your triangle. Exhale, back into it. One last time. Inhale, reverse your triangle. And then come up straight. Turn both feet to the left side of your mat. Fold over. Side facing, wide-legged forward fold. So we'll stay here for a little bit in case you want to work on firefly, headstand, anything you want to put here. You can also stay in the fold and deepen by using your hands, either against the floor, against your legs, or maybe even in front of you like a down dog. I've been feeling that one lately. So you decide what you need. But we want to keep that fire so the stretch really works later. Come back if you're playing upside down. Everybody lift up. Back to your triangle pose. Turn your front foot forward. And then we cartwheel down, chaturanga. Breathe in, upward facing dog. Breathe it out, downward facing dog. Left foot forward, triangle pose. So put your bottom hand somewhere that it helps you feel stable, and also somewhere that it helps your bottom ribs stay lifted away from your legs. So you don't want to be dipping way down. You want both sides of your ribs here lengthened out. So get really rooted through your feet. We're going to be here for a second. So using breath, inhale, lift yourself up, reverse your triangle. On your exhale, lengthen back to triangle pose. Come back, reverse your triangle. Use your core to stay safe. Exhale, back to where you started. One last time. Inhale, reverse your triangle. Lift up, turn your feet to the right side now. One more side facing fold. One more chance to practice whatever it is, upside down or not. If you haven't tried a variation here where you grab your big toes, that one's pretty cool. You can also interlace your hands behind your back if you're wanting to open up the fronts of your shoulders. We will definitely get some of that in the second half of class, so just be aware of that. Exhale out. Press up all the way to stand. We're turning back to our triangle. Breathe in. Breathe out. Come down for your push-up. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right foot forward, triangle pose. This time we're moving into something different. So now from triangle, bend your front knee, press off of it, half moon. So this is where you might want to put a prop underneath your bottom hand. We won't be here for a long time, so make it to your fullest expression here. And then as slowly as possible, bend your front knee, come back, warrior 2. Straighten your front leg, back to triangle. Now we're going to switch to the back of your mat. So grab your prop if you use one. Adjust your feet so you're in triangle pose facing the back of your mat. Maybe have your prop ready because we're coming into that half moon in a second. Bend your left knee, your new front knee. Go ahead, press off of it, come into it, half moon. And make your adjustments as needed. Again, we won't be here for a long time, so press up as high as you can. Take your left knee, bend it, gently lower back. Warrior two. Back to your triangle. Pivot your feet all the way around, set up for pyramid pose. Right foot forward, left foot back. Take your hands to your leg, to the blocks, to the floor. All of those are good options. Breathe out everything you've got. Lift your chest up, step to the top, and just switch legs. Take your right leg back behind you, pyramid pose. So we are winding down just a little bit, getting prepared for the stretch section. Lift your chest up, step your right foot up to meet your left. Come into chair pose and take your chair so low that you eventually sit down onto your seat. That's okay if you plop down with a lot of force. It takes practice and some open hamstrings to get down gently. So be gentle to yourself for sure. So now we're in boat pose. The last little bit to keep the fire going. So now take your low boat, extend your legs out long in front of you. Come back up, boat pose. A couple more rounds, low boat, look at your toes. Lift up, boat pose. Exhale, low boat. Come back up, boat. Take a low boat. Keep your shoulders off the mat, slow motion. Take your legs up to vertical, and let your shoulders rest just for a second. Take an inhale. Exhale out. Now peel your shoulders off the mat again. Drop your right foot to hover, and then pulse your chest up towards the ceiling. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bicycles, twist. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Legs up. Now your left foot drops. Pulse your chest. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 10 more bicycles. Go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lay back. Give your knees a hug. Make your way all the way up to the top of your mat. Take a plank pose. So this is your last little bit for part one of the 50-50. So now we're moving to side plank. Right hand down, left hand up. Option to take your top foot up, hips up too. Stay with it and breathe. Gently come back, regular plank, meet in the middle. Switch sides, left hand down, right hand to the sky, right foot up too. If you're really feeling adventurous, you can look up to your top hand, stay with it. Come down to plank pose, both hands down, and then take your forearms down, forearm plank. So we're here for a little bit. Forearm side plank, right side. So if your shoulder feels weird, you can also take your hand and angle it to the left side of your mat. You decide what works. And then we come back, forearm plank. Switch to the other side. Left elbow down, right hand reaches. Come back through, forearm plank. And the last fiery pose right now, tiptoe your feet towards your elbows, dolphin pose. So push the floor away, so forearms into the mat. Try to push your head as far away as it can go. Take some deep breaths. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, keep pushing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Walk your feet back to forearm plank. Keep your forearms pressing into the mat. Gently lay your legs down on the floor. This is Sphinx pose. So now we're coming down. So for Sphinx pose, with your forearms on the mat, you want to draw your elbows back towards your hips. So you're going to feel your abs stretch out. If you feel anything that doesn't work for you in your low back, you can take it down to Cobra pose. So instead of your forearms, you just have your hands on the mat. If even that doesn't feel quite right, you can also take a diamond shape with your hands, flat against the floor, and rest your forehead with your nose right between that shape you made in your hands. So you decide what you need. On the flip side, if Sphinx doesn't feel like enough, like you've got more to give, you can angle your hands out a little bit, press into the floor, elbows up. This is called seal pose. So different from locust, where we're trying to lift our legs at the same time. This is more about just the chest opening, less about the back strength. One thing to keep in mind though is, again, if your back feels anything weird in any of these poses, or if you feel like you can do it but it's just a little bit off, you can practice hugging your abs in and turning your tailbone down towards the floor. So rather than lifting it up towards the ceiling, tuck your tail just a little bit, feel your heart opening and your abs squeezing. This will keep your low back nice and long. I know we've been here for a minute. We'll stay for one more breath. On your exhale, gently lower down, no matter which pose you were doing. Take your arms out to a T shape. Bend your right knee, and then tip it over across your body to the left. A little opening for the front of your left shoulder, plus a twist. You have the option, maybe, if you want to do it, you can take your right hand behind your back to open your right shoulder as well. So for those of you who don't have really tight hip flexors, you could also reach back and grab your right foot behind you. For me, that feels like a lot, so sometimes I just want to keep it simple. You can keep your right hand on the floor wherever it feels stable for you. Same thing, if your back doesn't feel quite right, you can pull your abs in slightly. Pretend like you're turning your tailbone down towards your heels. You will feel it stretch out the front of your right leg a little bit more. Whatever you did with your right hand, bring it back out to the side. We're going to switch it. Bend your left knee now. Take it over across your body. Maybe feel a pop on the way there. So again, options for your left hand. You can move it wherever it helps. Bonus to grab your foot. You could grab your foot with either hand, actually. For me, that's where a lot of my tightness is, so right through my hip flexors. For me, that's kind of a challenging move most days, so no worries if you can't grab your foot. This pose is a lot by itself. Breath in yoga is super important throughout the practice, but I say the intention changes when you get into stretches. So now, rather than using it for power, you're using your breath to relax. So do your best to slow down and deepen your breathing. I see something popping up in the chat, so you stay there while I check it out. Oh, cool. Thanks for joining, Maro. Super sweet. So we've got the twist happening. I think we're about done with that one. So come back to center, both legs on the floor. Reset and press yourself back to your starting position, child's pose. So big toes together, hips back towards your heels. Since you've done some activity to warm up your muscles, you might have more room to take your knees out wider. On your next inhale, come up to a tabletop. Definitely reposition your knees so they're directly underneath your hips. And we'll set up for some different shoulder openings. So right now, take your right arm up towards the ceiling just to set it up. When you breathe out, take your hand underneath your body, thread the needle. So now you're opening the back side of your shoulder. Place the back of your right shoulder on the floor. You can take your left hand, keep it next to your face, reach it towards the front of your mat, or wrap it behind your back. So one way to deepen this pose, should you need it, you can also take your left foot, reach it out to the side, maybe grab your toe. What's really cool is if you fall out of this pose, you just do a little side roll. No big deal. And if that feels like a little much, because this in itself is a stretch for your inner thighs, you can stay with the tabletop legs, toes curled under or not. Keep your abs engaged just a little bit. So again, you're not putting pressure into your low back. Breathe out one more time. Come back into your table. Reset with a couple cat and cow poses. You inhale for your cow. Let your belly drop, shoulders squeeze behind you. Exhale, cat pose. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Neutral tabletop. Now reach your left arm up. Take an inhale. Thread the needle on your exhale. Back of your left shoulder goes down. Reposition your right hand wherever it helps you out, depending on what your shoulder needs. And then that added bonus inner thigh stretch, you can extend your right toes out to the side. Maybe grab them with your left hand, maybe not. All of those are cool. And be mindful of what's going on with your neck here. So if you need to make adjustments to the positioning of your head, please do that. Slow, deep breathing is the way to go. Every time you exhale, you might discover that you can go a little bit further with that position of your bottom shoulder. So whenever that comes up for you, you would keep taking your shoulder underneath your body a little bit further. So you just listen to what is accessible for you. We'll come out of this pose now. Reset back into your tabletop. Press back to downward facing dog. It's been a while since we've been here. Step your right foot outside of your right pinky finger. So we're coming into lizard lunge. This is another place where props might come in handy. So if this right here feels like a lot, you can use yoga blocks, use a water bottle or a couple water bottles underneath your hands. The opposite might be true for you, where you feel like you have more. You could take your forearms down. So just kind of go to whatever your body feels like it's ready for. And then go like one notch, just one notch above that. See what it feels like. Because obviously we want to reach a growing point in the practice. So there is some discomfort that will help you go to another level. So you do have the option to shift forward and back. If you prefer, you can have your back knee on the floor. So you decide what works. If you did come down to your forearms, now's the time to come up. Place your back knee on the floor. Take your right arm up towards the ceiling. Bend your left knee, and maybe you reach back to grab your foot. If this feels like too much, you can also use a towel, a t-shirt, a yoga strap, wrap it around your ankle or the top of your foot and use it as your grip. If you don't have any of those ready for you right now, just coming into the twist and letting your right knee kind of open up to the side is another way that this can work. Take both hands back down. Adjust with your right or your left knee off the floor. Wiggle your right foot over to the left side, half pigeon. So start with a proud half pigeon first. The proud pigeon is where your chest is lifted. This puts a little more deepening into your hips, definitely more deepening into your back leg, the front of your back leg. So just tune into that feeling. Your hands can go back towards your hips too for a little more shoulder opening as well. So bonus, again, totally optional. You can bend your left leg, reach back, grab your foot. We're opening up to the same side now. So where we were twisting before, now we're opening all the way to the left. No pressure if that's not working for you. Just keep your proud pigeon. We'll be here for one more breath. And then take your chest down towards the mat. And something we don't really talk about too much in half pigeon is that you do have options with your arms. So one way is reaching them out in front of you. You can always have a pillow, a block, some prop underneath your head if you need, or your chest for some extra support. You can take your arms to a T. I find that this deepens the stretch in a different way. You can take your hands back towards your hips. You can also do a thread the needle right here. If you really want to get into it, you want to make sure your hips can stay square if you're doing that. So give yourself a chance to explore different variations. My best advice is to pick one that you feel like you can stay in for a little bit. Just a few more breaths in half pigeon. I have a feeling it's going to feel nice to switch sides. We've been on this leg for a minute. Exhale fully. Take your hands back to your proud pigeon. This is time to switch it up. So take yourself to downward facing dog. If you need to, you can pedal your feet. Check in and see the difference between your legs right now. See what it feels like to have one thoroughly stretched. And then take a big step up with your left foot outside your left hand. Lizard lunge variation. So once again, option to stay lifted on the tips of your fingers, elbows down if you've got that room. Shift forward and back if it feels good. No matter what you're doing with your arms, you do want your back to be flat. So notice if you're hunching over, doesn't matter where your hands are, you really want your chest to be moving forward. Instantly when I do this with my spine, if I lengthen out, I can actually feel it deepen my hip stretch as well. So just be mindful of what your back is doing. Okay, place your back knee gently on the floor, coming up for the twist. So turn over, facing the left side of the room. With your knee bent, reach back behind you. Maybe grab your right foot with your left hand. If that's not a thing for you, you can keep your knee down and use your other arm up. You can use it to adjust, rotate your hip out to the side. Pay attention to how that feels for both of your knees, so you decide what works. Same idea here. You want your back lifted, not rounded. Let your chest open. Let go if you had your foot. Take your chest back to center. Pick up your right knee, and we are going half pigeon. Proud variation to start. Adjust your hand placement so you feel secure. Another great place to use props. So if you don't have yoga props by now, if you've been taking these virtual classes, you've probably found some ways that they would be helpful. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing yoga, you can always find a way for props. Stay in your proud pigeon. If you want to move to a mermaid variation, that's what this is called. Mermaid, you would reach back, grab your ankle here or your foot. To go into full mermaid, this is really, if you have some open hip flexors here, you can bend your knee, wiggle your foot inside the crux of your elbow, reach up and over behind you, clasp your hands, and then turn your chest straight forward. It takes a lot of mobility to make that happen, so take your time with that. You can, like I said, you can also use a prop to help you open up that side. We'll be here for one more inhale. On your breath out, take your chest forward. Let your body rest a little bit, make your adjustments, and create a little bit of discomfort, so make sure you're feeling a stretch happening, but somewhere where your upper body can rest. Adjust your arms, however it helps you create that. This is also a really good place to close your eyes. Take your focus mostly to the breath right now. And while you're here, if you reach a point where it does feel like it's a little too comfortable, you can always walk your chest forward a little more, or tuck your back toes and scoot your back foot further back. So be really honest about what your body needs to keep advancing your practice. Almost to the end here. Breathe in one more time. Exhale everything out. Back to your proud pigeon. Step back, downward facing dog. Come into tabletop position. Now we'll stretch the inside of your hips here. Take your left leg out to the side and sit back towards your right heel. So this is a half frog pose here. So you might even take your right knee, angle it out to the side, more like a child's pose. So you're in child's pose on one side, and almost like an extended frog, like a triangle leg through your left side. So go to a point where you feel that opening up the inside of your left leg. Your right toes can be tucked under, or top of your foot resting on the floor. Breathe out. Take yourself back to your table. Reset your feet. And now take your opposite leg over to the side. If you needed to on the first side, maybe angle your left knee over and open. On your breath out, sit back towards your heel. Doesn't matter if your butt touches your heel or not. Doesn't matter if your toes are tucked or not. If you're feeling a stretch, that's all you really need to do. A few more breaths here. Come to your tabletop position. Swing your legs out in front of you. Single leg seated, forward fold. Whichever leg you want to start with, you can take one leg out. Take your other foot on the inside of your thigh. On your inhale, reach your arms up. On your exhale, extend your chest towards your foot. So it doesn't matter if you grab your foot. Remember to keep your back nice and long. Shoulders pulled back behind you. Exhale. Inhale, rise up. We'll switch sides. And we haven't done a whole lot of hamstring opening. It's been more about the front side of your legs. We will get one more big hamstring opener here in a second. For now, just enjoy one side. Come back to seated. Now we go both legs extended. This is the one. So before you fold over, take your hips and scoot them back behind you. So you've got more of the weight on the fronts of your sits bones here. On your breath out, go ahead, take your chest towards your feet. This is another good place to use a towel or a strap or a t-shirt to help you stretch a little more through here, especially if it's hard to grip the floor or to touch your feet. Notice if you have any tension in your low back, bend your knees more, create that squeezing effect of your belly against your thighs. Breathe out. Release whatever you have held on to. Come down to your back. Here we go for lazy bridge. So here's the deal. If you have a yoga block or some sort of prop, like a sturdy pillow or a stack of pillows to help elevate your hips, use that. If you don't have a prop to set up for a lazy bridge, two other choices you have. You can do a broken bridge pose where you have your feet touching the edges of your mat and your knees lightly resting against each other. Or you can take your legs up for a waterfall. Eventually we'll all be going to waterfall. So if you come here instead of your lazy bridge, you're just getting a couple steps ahead. All of those variations are great. So take the one that is accessible for you. Again, the option is there to close your eyes. Those of you in the lazy bridge with the prop, if you still feel like you need a little more hip opening, you can take that figure 4 shape with one ankle laying across the top of your opposite thigh. If you did the figure 4, it's time to switch sides. Those of you in the broken bridge pose, I suggest coming up to waterfall now just to give yourself a little bit of a different experience right here. And those of you in waterfall, you can also, if you're not already, you can scoot your legs up the actual wall. Let your heels touch the wall so you have a little less effort to put into keeping your legs elevated. So that's where we're all going now. You can, if you had the lazy bridge, you can keep your hips on the block and then extend your legs up for the waterfall variation. Feel free to move up against that wall if you'd like. It's a really good place to close your eyes. Just feel your whole body reset. Whenever you create an inversion in your body, your heart gets a little rest. It doesn't have to work so hard to get blood to your vital organs and your brain. Enjoy that feeling of restfulness. And if you are propped up on a block, it's time to take the block out to the side. Come on down with your knees curled into your chest and move to supine twist. Any variation you like, you can keep your knees together, extend one leg out. All of those are cool. So turn your knees over to one side, turn your face to the opposite side. Keep your shoulders pressed against the floor. Come back, switch directions, knees to the other side, gaze away. Eyes can be opened or closed. Take your legs to center, lightly press the soles of your feet together, ending with butterfly pose. Close your eyes if they aren't already. And we'll take a cleansing breath. Inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, exhale. You are welcome to stay in the butterfly stretch for the last part of class, or any pose that feels restful. Could be traditional corpse pose with your arms and legs stretched out. You pick your favorite. Let your breath get really gentle and soft. Enjoy a couple minutes with no pressure, no rush, just be in rest. So while you're in your resting pose, it can be helpful to scan your body from the tips of your toes. Slowly travel upwards and scan for any tension or tightness that still has yet to let go. If you find a little pocket of stuckness, you can stay there for a breath. And when you exhale, imagine that area just softening and melting, relaxing. So the great thing about these virtual classes is that if you feel like you need some more rest, you can always stay a little longer. If you're ready to move on, it's time to wiggle your toes and fingers. Take your arms up and over behind you, legs out long. On your breath out, you can squeeze your knees in tightly. Roll over to one side for infant's pose. And take yourself up to a seated position. Once you're back seated upright, you can close your eyes if you open them. Take your palms together at heart center. And we will close our practice just like we started with one chant of Om. Breathe out. Breathe in. Move your thumbs to touch your third eye, right between your eyebrows. Thank you very, very much for staying for this practice. I appreciate your time and your efforts. The light in me sees, honors, and loves the light in you. Namaste. Sweet. Thanks for taking class. Whether you're watching it live or on the replay, I so appreciate you being here. So just in case you didn't notice, we moved the Tuesday evening class temporarily to 8 p.m. while we're doing it virtually. We'll be releasing the new schedule soon. So new schedule and some updates about the gym opening up very soon. So stay tuned for all that stuff. As always, if you have questions or any specific requests or needs or anything at all, please reach out to me either on the chat. You can find me at aklein@CJJF and ntx.com. Feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you with your practice. We do have past classes on the channel and some tutorials if you're on the CJJF app, so check it out. In the meantime, happy practicing and see y'all later.